Hello everyone, and welcome back to the FriDAI Brunch series. Happy 2021, full of expectations, and we hope it will be good, especially from in DeFi and crypto, it has been a good year, 2020, but not outside this world. So let's hope for 2021. Today, we will talk about a brand new topic, which is not new, but maybe it's new for most of the people. And it's super interesting. And it's prediction markets. And we have two super special guests, my friend Rafa from Gnosis and my new friend Ish from PlotX. So these two projects work in the prediction market space. So I just want to allow our guests to present themselves, starting from Ish, and I will mute myself.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'm very excited to be on this call. Thanks for the opportunity. So very quick background on myself, guys. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 14 years now. The crypto bug kind of caught me back in 2015-16. That was the time when I started getting connected in the London blockchain ecosystem. Got to know about Ethereum for the first time. I ended up winning the London Blockchain Week Hackathon in 2017, and that's when I met Hugh Card from Nexus Mutual. So I joined him as a CTO at Nexus for around 3 years. We built Nexus from scratch. I essentially moved on in Feb 2020 to build onto my idea of what we think of prediction markets as. And that's when we started building up a team, and the idea behind PlotX really came in. We spent about 6 months to launch our beta back in October 2020. And yeah, that's a very quick introduction of what we are doing.
Okay, well, I guess I can take the mic now. Well, first off, again, thanks, Maria, and really nice to meet you, Ish. As Ish mentioned, I've also been in the blockchain space for some time. My journey started with Bitcoin around 2014. Bitcoin didn't get me only into the blockchain rabbit hole, but also in general, into financial markets and trading and whatnot. After working for some years in different startups as business development role in mainly around the data industry, focused around market data, I started working for Gnosis in 2018. It's been a great journey, pushing products across different categories. Gnosis was originally known for prediction markets, but right now we also offer one of the biggest, the biggest multi-sig on Ethereum. And additionally, we are also developing several DEX protocols.
Cool, thanks guys. Just one more question to break the ice, even if it's already broken. So what is your personal challenge every day? We start again from Ish.
Okay, I think that's an excellent question, Maria. So the day-to-day juggle, specifically with PlotX, that we kind of try to work on is essentially to improve our incentive alignment mechanisms for users, for traders, and also I think to make prediction markets more capital efficient, to bootstrap liquidity. I think this is one challenge which Rafa would also agree with me on. I think this is one of the biggest issues that we are juggling with and trying to fix on a day-to-day basis. How about you, Rafa?
Yeah, well, I can only echo similar things. Making in the end products that that can have a more broad adoption, because of course prediction markets benefit a lot from liquidity, not only for a nice UX and a good experience as someone clicking around, but also as in order to have an accurate prediction or aggregation of sentiment, it is quite necessary to first have a liquid market, and then of course one issue that is not only part of liquidity, about DEXs and prediction markets, is having yeah, like an easy UX that like enables more mainstream users, which I think is like a challenge that anybody working on the Ethereum space is facing right now.
Yeah, I think you guys mentioned some of the challenges that we all have in this space, because UX and make people understand what we do is actually the hardest challenge. So okay, but now we can start the conversation about the topic. And as I said before, maybe not everybody know what is actually a prediction market. I mean, what we are talking about. So if Rafael, you can give a definition, how would you define prediction markets? In few words, because I know that you like to talk a lot.
Yeah, well, like I mean, of course, it's kind of like a broad subject, but I think like a concise definition that I like. I mean, I personally like defining prediction markets as an asset class in which the outcome of an event is tradable. That's kind of like what I would say is the single sentence, because of course we can go like very broad and like there can be like a market around like, for example, prices. I believe PlotX is quite focused on that, but also around like political events and whatnot. And in general, just anything that you can like formulate as a question can be like, yeah, traded in a prediction market. So just once more as a concise, like one sentence thing, I would say that it's, yeah, an asset class in which the outcome of an event is tradable. I don't know if you would have something to add to that, Ish, or if you would agree or debate.
Absolutely. No, I think I agree with it. I would just like to kind of add a very dumbed down version for, I guess the audience which may not understand these some of these financial jargons, because, I am not a financial expert. I'm a techie. I've learned, being in the DeFi space for 5 years now or 4 years now. I think there are a lot of, I try to kind of dumb it down for myself, and that makes it easy for me. So I think prediction markets, the way I look at them, I think they are paid polls. I mean, you need to pay to enter a poll, unlike the free polls, which are, which you can run on Twitter. So like somebody is running a Twitter poll where, people are asking questions and there are 3, 4, 5 options. Now they are gameable, you can hire people to kind of vote for you. But a prediction market, all that Rafa said is absolutely on point. But for me, I also think of them as polls where to enter a position, you need to pay for it. And there is a reward. If you make the right judgment, you earn money. So I think that's a dumbed down version of how I think prediction markets function.
Cool. Thank you, guys. I think it's pretty clear. So we can go ahead. And my next question is for Ish. And is this. When do you think prediction markets got popular, and what is the connection between DeFi and prediction markets? Because we know that DeFi exploded last year, basically, and it started just 2 years ago. And I want to know if prediction markets follow the same path, or it's. Let me.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. I'll try my best to answer that, and would love Rafa's input as well. So I think prediction markets became popular quite early in time, right? I mean, I was having a chat with one of my colleagues in the team, and he explored a very interesting story back from 1900s. So there was that was the time, I think, when prediction markets really started coming. People started realizing the importance of the concept of wisdom of crowd. So they would people would gather to assess the weight of an ox. And people would come together to kind of say, okay, this is the weight of the ox. So like there was a story about 800 people coming together and pointing out what the weight of that ox could be. And turns out that there was a scientist which kind of studied the data and realized that the mean of the inputs which the crowd had given were actually more accurate than even the experts who were talking about this is the weight of the ox. And also the winning person out of the 800 people. So the idea really was that, when there is a crowd which is coordinating towards pointing out what a certain event could settle at, that always is better. I mean, the theory is that the wisdom of crowd is better than individual experts, which kind of talk about it. So I think it started like that, and then the very famous "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire," that we've seen growing up, that channel, that series where there is an audience poll for questions which people are stuck about, the participant is stuck at. There is a study that about 91% of the times the audience is always correct. So I think these are the forms of prediction markets that have been the wisdom of crowd, to be honest, not exactly prediction markets that have existed. And then in the crypto space, I think Gnosis and Augur have been, the front runners to bring the idea of prediction markets in the crypto space. I think the guys have done some really fancy stuff, some amazing stuff in leading the charge to bring these ideas in the crypto space. I think some really, really good stuff has been done. So yeah, that's about the popularity. Do you agree with that, Rafa? Do you think this is something which makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, echoing what you said, I mean, voting on elections has also been like something that was like unregistered since like the 19th century. And then, yeah, I would say that more recently, like I mean, I believe even prior to that, there were like some like people that would like bet on trying to see who was going to be voted as the next pope. I think that's one of like the oldest precedents. But going like a little bit like more recently, and as someone like pointed out in the chat, like there's also Robin Hans's theories throughout like the 90s that I think kind of like popularized like the term in general, as well as like the logarithmic market scoring rule that I won't get like too much into details for that, but kind of like ways in which it would be easier to kind of like aggregate liquidity, so this could be tradable. But yeah, I would say that kind of like it was in trade in like the early 2000s, what kind of was like one of the more like recent and like popular like digital prediction markets. And then, yeah, I would say that kind of like started creeping a bit more into like what we currently associate more with what prediction markets are. And then, yeah, eventually like Gnosis within like Consensus and Augur were the first ones that were kind of like bringing it to the crypto space.
Cool.
A couple of more things, I think, Maria. I mean, if we have time, I would love to answer how does it fit in DeFi and what is the importance, as you mentioned. Do you think?
Yeah, exactly. It was what I was, because the second part of the question was unanswered. So please go ahead.
I will try that, and Rafa, please add wherever you feel there are more points to kind of cover. So the way I look at prediction markets, for them to be successful, I think there are three main elements. When we talk about wisdom of crowd, I think the crowd itself should be diverse when they are coming on to predicting on a specific event. It needs to be a diverse set of crowds. If we have just degens coming out and predicting on, let's say, price of an asset, it doesn't really make sense, right? So the crowd needs to be diverse. So for that to happen, I think to have borderless, permissionless ecosystems are very critical. So I think the first element for why decentralized prediction markets, I think that's the biggest reason why we need it. The second big point for a prediction market to be successful is that there should be incentives for people to participate in the market. It shouldn't be like just participate for the sake of it. There should be an incentive and also disincentive for doing the wrong thing. Again, when users participate in prediction markets, they get rewarded for making the right prediction. Now, where are these predictions settling and who is deciding what sort of rewards should be given? So again, in the DeFi space, on Ethereum, in the public blockchain ecosystem, these things are done on smart contracts, and there can be nothing more transparent than that with respect to settlement of rewards, which happen on chain. I think the third important factor for prediction markets to be successful is the fact that people should make their own decisions while predicting on an event, and shouldn't be influenced by herd mentality, which typically happens on off-chain votes. when you go on Twitter and you see a poll, you typically, unless you see what the results are, you try to kind of choose what others are saying. For that to happen, once again, on-chain DeFi prediction markets kind of, the cost of aping into somebody else's predictions keeps getting higher when you enter into prediction markets, because the stakes keep going up and down. So I think these are the 2-3 elements which haven't been able to answer, which haven't been answered by centralized counterparts the way it can be answered in the DeFi ecosystem. And I think that's where it really fits in. More specifically for PlotX, I think the idea which we came up with was to only focus on price discovery and price action of crypto assets, and to be able to provide that ability for traders and investors and also builders, tech builders, to be able to see the signaling of where the crowd is thinking that a specific DeFi asset or crypto assets are going. So I think that's where we fit in. Sorry if I spoke too much, but Rafa, over to you to talk about it as well.
No, I think,
yes, go.
Sorry, Rafa, if I intervene. I think in general, what is told is that the decentralization is fundamental to strive in this space as well, because it adds a lot of value. So I think we can, Rafa, when you want to add something, you can also start to explain a bit more of your project. So we can, because Ish already mentioned something about PlotX, we can also explain a bit about Gnosis. So we will focus a bit more on your own project.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, regarding how they fit in DeFi, I think Ish already gave something that echoes a lot what I will say, that just through permissionless innovation, permissionless prediction markets managed to enable having an opinion of a larger crowd with skin on the game. So I think they benefit DeFi in giving more reliable predictions, and then B, another thing that I believe was pioneered by DAO Stack, but that we have also built upon, is I think prediction markets, or in general things where you have skin in the game, make you act more, or incentivize you to actually participate, especially when it comes to governance and decision making. That tends to be sometimes, I mean, as you will know, Maria, sometimes if you go to the maker forum, then sometimes it can be completely empty, people don't vote and this and whatnot. So I think, that's one of the things that they will bring the most of to DeFi, that basically they will increase participation. But moving on now to Gnosis and what we are doing. So basically, when it comes to prediction markets, already for a while, we stopped focusing on aiming to ship a final product with a front end. And what we actually do is that we focus on building the infrastructure and the infrastructure and all the tooling required to face all the challenges of decentralized prediction markets, right? Which are some that Ish has already mentioned, being permissionless, so there's a diverse crowd, or issues with liquidity and whatnot. So that has led us to build the what we call the conditional tokens framework. So basically, this is a very modular, or you can even say low-level framework for anybody to just go and build their prediction markets, right? The cool thing here is that you can determine, of course, the outcomes. You can choose up to 256 outcomes. You can pick, of course, any kinds of resolution dates. You can select whatever kind of oracle or arbitrator that you want. So basically, even you could even use for example, Augur as an oracle, or you could even, for example, just use one giving an address and have a centralized decision maker, right? And so what has this kind of matured into? Well, there's already a few teams building some very interesting prediction markets on our framework. Probably the two biggest ones, one is Omen. So basically, Omen is a product built on the conditional token framework, and this is hosted and maintained by the DXDAO. And some of the interesting features about this is that, for example, it uses a Uniswap style AMM, right? So basically, yeah, you provide like 50-50 liquidity, and then like trading can be kind of like seamless, right? Then it uses like Reality.io as an oracle and Claire as an arbitrator. So basically, it has its own like flavors as into like what the team like wanted to have, like the DXDAO team, in terms of like their mission to create kind of like a decentralization maximalist prediction market. And then another example would be like Polymarket, that they built like their beta using like the conditional token framework. We recently launched Gnosis Impact, that is like a plugin that you can use for like Snapshot, Snapshot, like the off-chain vote signaling app, that basically, yeah, like creates two markets that are like basically the same question but different assets, and then you can like calculate like a possible price impact, right? So just to sum it up, like what like general or like the brief explanation of like what we're doing when it comes to prediction markets at Gnosis, we're focusing on like building, yeah, like the core infrastructure and developer tooling. So anybody, including if it's like Ish or like somebody in any other like DAO or project, can like just set up their prediction markets in whatever like flavor they want to in terms of like decentralization and whatnot.
Cool. It's amazing. I knew a bit about. I mean, I remember last year when it was last year that you guys launched the multi-sig, right?
So yeah, the Gnosis Safe multi-sig, like yes, but like the original multi-sig has been around since 2017.
Yeah,
like,
but the version, yeah, I remember that you showed. Nice. And what about PlotX, Ish? I actually, it was the first time that I heard about your project, because I'm not into this world. But explain me how, the idea came up and what is your competitive advantage?
Oh, absolutely. So we are fairly new, Maria, just about 3 months old. So I guess a lot of people don't know about us, just starting our journey here. I think what PlotX is doing, we've learned a great deal from Gnosis and Augur, and we are trying to adopt a little bit of a different approach to how we are building a prediction market protocol and also an interface to kind of interact with. So obviously the protocol is permissionless. Anybody can build a user interface on top of it. But what we've done is that our current protocol is limited to settling prediction markets that are driven by an API. So we are looking at anything which can be settled via an API coming in from decentralized oracles like Chainlink. So these are only asset prices which are being predicted upon. We've intentionally stayed away from predicting on stuff like American elections and stuff like that. We feel having a focused approach, which is very native to the crypto space, is what we thought might resonate more with users. So far, it's been a good experience. We've obviously identified some of the issues that have been on the platform with respect to obviously liquidity and a couple other areas. Ethereum gas costs have been a pain for almost everyone. But yeah, that's really the product, Maria. You are able to predict on markets like what will be the price of Bitcoin in the next 4 hours or 1 day or 1 week. Similarly, any other ERC20 token can be predicted upon. We don't add or control which markets are predicted upon. There is a decentralized governance, on-chain governance layer where the community can vote on which assets to add. So if they need to add an asset like Link, if they want to predict on Link USDT, anybody can start a market and start predicting. So we use an AMM as well. So the markets are created using an AMM along with 3 options. There's a long, short, and a neutral position on every market. All 3 options and the pricing for those options are calculated based on an on-chain AMM, and it follows a zero-sum game. So all 3 options settle between them. So there is no concept of liquidity providers as such, as Rafa mentioned. That you need. The idea is that the players or the users that come in, they predict on any of, and they provide liquidity on any of these options, and it's a zero-sum game between the 3 options that are in front of you, and they settle automatically without any intervention. So yeah, that's really what it's a little bit of a different approach. We are exploring and experimenting with how it works.
But it's nice to see some differences, and I mean, both of the projects are really interesting, and I think I am quite ignorant about the topic, but I think the approaches could be very well functioning. I mean, Gnosis is there for 2 years or 3 years now, so it has been proven that it is functioning, but also PlotX, I see a bright future. We can go ahead, and I want to ask again. I mean, we already talked about the project and what you guys are doing. What are your competitive advantage and your? But I want to please mention a real use case of your project for the users. I mean, for the final users. So very like as you are talking with your mom.
Let me go for it, and Rafa, you can add on to that. So I guess the top 2 use cases for us is crowd-driven driven asset valuation. So whatever asset is there, just like in the old days, the weight of the ox was valued by the audience, which was voting for it. In this case, we feel the real asset valuation can eventually happen from the crowd when the crowd comes in. I think second is also a signaling tool. I think of PlotX. The vision of PlotX is to become one of the finest signaling tools out there for investors, which is also related to asset valuation, to be able to see how historically an asset has performed and how in the future the asset could go based on where people are placing their predictions. So I think these are the top 2 use cases. We are also exploring the possibility of PlotX acting as a hedging tool. There is a little bit of a capital inefficiency right now in how PlotX is designed. We're trying to solve that by some really cool ideas. But yes, as a hedging tool is something which we see going forward. This could also be quite useful.
Yeah, and well, on my end, as I mentioned before, like what I believe is like the use case and what makes like what we're building like stand out is that it's like the general low-level framework for everybody to build on. No, so for example, even PlotX, if for some reason needs like to do something different, they can still go and use the conditional tokens framework, and as Ish mentioned, let's say use a Chainlink Oracle or any kind of like a thing that can be like just translated like into like a signature or a transaction can be used. So basically, yeah, I would say that, I mean, if I go into details, for example, when it comes to Omen, there's already markets on like prices, on politics and whatnot. But if we're going to like talk specifically about like Gnosis, it is basically that it's like, yeah, like a tooling that everybody can use and everybody can like customize.
Cool. Thank you, guys. So I also want to again speak with our moms, and and I want you to imagine that you are like in front of the computer, and your mom comes and with with a tea and a cupcake and tell you, hey guy, I mean, hey Ish, I brought you some cupcake. What are you doing? What do you answer?
Rafa, go for it. I would let you go for it first.
Go.
What am I doing? You mean what am I doing for
yeah,
work?
You are working in the meantime. So what are you doing? You say, Mom, I'm...
Oh, I tell her, I'm joining these calls to like answer this type of question.
No.
So basically, no, so basically what I would tell, or what I tell, because I still talk to my mother from time to time. No, what I would say is that basically, yeah, we're building like the building blocks to create this very powerful tool that will enable people to like aggregate information better, make better predictions, and on top, like have, yeah, like a stake or like something to lose whenever they're not doing the right prediction.
Ish?
So I think I would tell my mom that, Mom, I'm trying to build a tool that can help you plan your finances and kind of tell you how much a potato is going to cost you in times to come. So that's what I'm going to tell her, I think.
Perfect, guys. And then your mom asks, so guys, are you able to predict who's the next president of the USA? So I want, no, this is just my next question, which is, please connect, please comment your work related to the news, like for example, now we had this crazy election in the US, or also the COVID situation. I don't know. Is there a connection? How is it connected? And who wants to start? Please go ahead.
I'll take this one. So yeah, basically, so something that happened when it comes to if you specifically mention like the U.S. election, volume across all prediction markets was quite high, included like Gnosis like Omen, which is built on Gnosis, but also like on centralized venues like FTX, also like on other markets and whatnot. And I think what is like the most interesting to see this is to kind of like realize how, especially in an event like the US elections, that was something that was very like 50-50 in terms of like nobody really knew what were like the actual odds for something. What I think was very important was that like maybe in this situation, prediction markets, like if you were looking at them before the election, weren't telling you like something that was very relieving afterwards. But what I found the most interesting, especially as you were watching like all the different like pricings or like probabilities that prediction markets were pricing throughout like different like protocols and venues, was that basically they were like aggregating the information like in a way faster, way faster than any other kind of method, right? Like the normal polling that people would do or this or that would like take ages to produce kind of like an effective update. While we would always be seeing, like whether you were checking like an Omen or FTX, or as I said, like if you went like cross venue, this was even like more interesting, because yeah, you would see, I don't know, there was like whatever news or this state came in, and you would immediately see like the reflections on like prediction markets pricing, like changing. So like, yeah, I think in this election, like they proved to be, quite an interesting and amazing tool to just like aggregate real-time like sentiment and information.
Okay. Do you want to add something, Ish?
Yeah, I think, Rafa, you really summed it up really well. I was closely monitoring how all the prediction markets were reflecting the results of the US elections before they were declared. So I think some really strong use case on that side. From a PlotX perspective, we are not really, for now, we are not predicting on the news. I think that's something which we've stayed away from. Those are subjective items where settlement is a little bit of an issue. So we've tried to kind of make it easier for us to design price-based settlements. So I think from a news perspective, the kind of markets that can run on PlotX is what will be the impact of where will be the price of Bitcoin if Biden wins the election, something like that. I mean, those are kind of which can run on PlotX, but we haven't tried that angle, so I don't have much to say about it. But yes, I've been closely monitoring it, and I think, they do have a really good impact.
Cool, thank you guys. There is also a question from the audience, which actually was the next question that I was thinking to make. And it is about the challenges that you are facing now, and what do you think are the main challenges in the future? You already mentioned liquidity, but let's elaborate a bit on.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes like to liquidity, basically, and I'll try to like make that like something like very in like a very simple analogy, like basically in the end, all kinds of markets need like a buyer and a seller, right? Like if you go to like the market to buy a potato, you need somebody that will be willing to sell you a potato, right? To continue with like the potato example. So I believe that like with AMMs like Uniswap and whatnot, like we have managed already like kind of like a way in which it's guaranteed that people will be able to like participate and like buy or sell either like a yes or no token or an above whatever price token. But like what I think is an additional challenge to bring like this liquidity, and this might be like slightly technical, but I think it's still nonetheless very important, is that especially like with binary prediction markets, it is kind of like difficult to replicate like the payout that that binary prediction markets do. No? So basically, what happens when somebody is providing liquidity, whether it's like potatoes or like Amazon stock, is that usually they like to have like a mechanism in which they can like protect themselves from like forms of like price variation, no? And they usually do this like with some other financial product, or well, if it's like derivatives, they can like take opposite positions and whatnot. So basically, I think one of like the challenges that especially like binary prediction markets are facing is that they represent like this payout that is similar to like a binary option. And since that is kind of like difficult to replicate, liquidity providers tend to have issues using like a more financial lingo, like hedging their liquidity, right? So I think that is like one of like the core issues that is like limiting like people from joining as a liquidity provider, and then eventually that makes like prediction markets not so liquid, which then limits like both the participation and like the value that they bring. So I would say like that's the main one, apart from like what we have mentioned, that is kind of like external of like what PlotX or Gnosis or any other prediction market does, is like the UX and like the costs of Ethereum. Nonetheless, I think there is like quite a lot of progress when it comes to like new synthetic assets and payouts and whatnot. And I think a lot of them are going to like help us, like protect liquidity providers to like make it actually more attractive to just like go and make a prediction market usable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I completely echo with what Rafa just said. From a liquidity perspective, prediction markets are typically capital inefficient, and I think that's what we are trying to solve for by doing different implementations of how they settle and how liquidity is attracted. I think Rafa briefly touched about the other issue, and I would like to kind of expand on that. Prediction market is only as successful as the number of people who participate in it, because the crowd wisdom is only as good as if 5 people are trading in millions of dollars on a prediction market, it doesn't make any sense, right? So it is obvious that the transaction amounts are going to be small. The volume of transactions need to be a lot more to be effective in terms of the settlement of where the prediction market is going. For that to happen, I think the underlying infrastructure is a little bit of an issue from an Ethereum perspective. The standard transactions which are happening on PlotX, I think that's what I can tell. At times, the gas cost is more than the transaction amount which the user wants to do. So that's a little bit of a challenge for us, and we've tried hard in terms of optimizing the smart contracts on Ethereum and also experimenting with a lot of other stuff. It just doesn't work, right? For now, it doesn't work. So I think the challenge that we're facing is the scalability of the underlying infra, for which we are also looking at moving to an L2 or exploring with ZK rollups. I think a couple of things that we're doing on that side, apart from the liquidity problem, which happens to be the most important one as well. So I think these two are the most critical ones.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Really insightful. I think now we can go further. Wait, there's another question, I think. So another question from the audience, it's why is it important for a prediction market to be decentralized? We already answered, but let's repeat. With permissionless ability for people to participate. I think Ish already mentioned it, but if we want to quickly give an answer to this.
Well, okay. Well, I'll go for it. Like Ish previously mentioned it, and I think like in quite like an accurate way, that basically what permissionlessness or like decentralization really brings to prediction markets is that it enables like first a large crowd to like attend, and then second a diverse crowd. Because if you just have like a small population sector from, let's say you're trying to like predict the elections, and then you're just like asking people from, inner city Los Angeles.
It's biased.
That will win.
It's auto-profiling. I mean, it's like in every statistics, as far you can go on with the sample, the better for the p-value or whatever of the statistics.
Exactly. In the end, it's just like a matter of like the law of large numbers, right? Like the more like elements you have like in your sample, the more relevant like statistical results you will have. But yeah, I don't know if you have like anything to add, Ish, because I think you had already said it before.
Yeah.
That's like
yeah, I think absolutely. And apart from the diversity of the crowd, I think the second point which I touched upon was the transparency in settlement of the market. I think that's very critical. A centralized exchange, you never know how they settle the market, and they typically decide the algorithm for settling the market. Also, another element of prediction markets is the probability of option pricing that are available in front of the public. So in case of permissionless ecosystems, open source ecosystems, the calculation and the formula for calculating the probability and the price of an option is transparent, which is not the case with centralized systems. You don't know how the probability is being calculated. So I think these are the two main reasons why a permissionless prediction market makes a lot more sense.
Cool. I think now we are ready to have, if you guys want to show a bit something of your project. I know Ish had a demo to show.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, cool. Please let's go ahead, and then Rafa, if you want to try again, otherwise
we're having some issues with the screen sharing, but we'll give it a shot after PlotX.
Okay.
Go for it.
I'm going to do a very quick screen share, guys. We are looking for active feedback to what we've built, and would love to. I mean, if you have some questions and if you have some feedback, please do give us. So, can you see my screen, Rafa and Maria?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So this is where you land when you go to app.plotx.io. I'm going to quickly take you through what this screen looks like. So these are the assets that you can predict on. At the moment, we have markets running on Bitcoin and Ether. If you want to add more markets, then as a community member of PlotX, you can go to our governance section, which is an on-chain governance section where you can create proposals in terms of which assets do you want to add. If the community votes on those, I mean, if they like to add those assets to be predicted upon, the assets automatically will start coming here. So there is no manual intervention with respect to how the markets are decided upon or created in the beginning. Once the asset appears here, the AMM of PlotX starts creating markets on a 4-hourly basis, daily basis, and weekly basis. So we are experimenting with the time slots of markets, guys. Earlier we had a 1-hour market, but we realized due to the scaling issues on Ethereum, our users were unable to get the time to enter a market because at times, the gas cost would be so high that they wouldn't be able to get into the market, and then eventually the market would go without any liquidity. So we stopped them. So now we have a 4-hour daily and weekly ones. We might also experiment with monthly markets, but the idea here is to kind of have consistency in the market duration. So we don't want to, I mean, the earlier idea was that, to create markets which are 6 months long, for example, to predict upon the next American election or the American president, if the market is six months or 1 year long. So our thinking was it's a little, I mean, the UX for the end user is a little difficult with respect to when the market is going to get settled and they would like to trade their options in the beginning. So these are the market timings that you see. On the daily market, this is the live one which is running, and the time to enter the market is 1 hour 13 minutes, after which the market moves into settlement. So the market is fairly straightforward. What will be the value of Ether USDT tomorrow, which is January 16th at 9:30 p.m. my time. So whenever you log in on the on this link, this time will reflect
Oh, I think.
Sorry, guys, I was muted.
I
And
think
disappeared. No, I think he's reconnecting.
and we can give him.
Yeah. In the meantime, okay, so he disappeared completely. Let me invite him again on the screen.
Well, if you want, meanwhile, I see a question here.
Yeah, there are two questions, both about oracles, actually. The first one is here in the chat, and the second one is why is it important for a prediction market to be decentralized with permissionless ability for people? No, sorry. This is the previous. So, how can you defend against a malicious oracle that is feeding wrong information to the system?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's different methods, no? Like as I mentioned, when it comes to like the way like our framework does it, is that it lets like the user use like any kind of like arbitrator that they want, right? So like there's different methods that have been used when it comes to, there's like a centralized solution where you could just have, you know, like an entity that will just like sign what's the correct outcome. But then there's also like what Augur originally did, that there is kind of like a dispute system where like people just like stake like their assets and then define like and through like that like staking and voting process, you define what is like the correct outcome, right? Similar to like how Clarus does it. But yeah, I mean, going back, I think we can go back now that Ish is back. I was just trying to questions around.
My apologies, guys. I missed out.
We can, if you want, we can jump like back to your demo.
Just let me just quickly share my screen again. So I don't know where I don't know where I lost the connection. So please, I mean,
you were scrolling down like to the chart. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So the current participation which is on the market is around $210. It's a zero-sum game between these three options that you see. The options that are created automatically using the AMM that is programmed on the smart contracts. So it looks at the price of Ether USDT at the time of market creation, and then looks at some technical parameters for creating three options in which people can predict. So this is a short option, it's a neutral option, then there is a long option. Then there's an option price for all the three options that you see. And you can simply click on predict. It talks to you about what amount of prediction you want to make. You can make the predictions in plot token or Ether or bplot, which is also an ERC20 token. If you choose to do it in Ether, it shows you the balance of your MetaMask. I don't have plots right now. And you just enter the amount of Ether you want to spend on making that prediction and click on predict. So that's how you enter the market. At the time of prediction, it also shows you what is your potential winning for that specific market if you do win. And this is obviously different for different options. So in this case, majority of the predictions have been either made on the short position or the long position. So the neutral position is the one where the winnings would be maximum. So if I, for example, predict with 0.1, it shows me that my potential winnings could be $175 if I do win it. So yeah, I guess that's really what the interface looks like with respect to predictions. Then there is a leaderboard where you can see what markets are under, you know, which stage, whether they are live or they're in settlement or settled. The total predictions that have been done, what sort of participation has been there. And then there is a My Account section as well, which talks to you about what is your account with respect to what predictions you've done. So yeah, that's really what the interface is about.
I think that's amazing. And I really appreciate the very nice and easy UX there. I mean, I think it's very important to have something that people understand, users understand quickly, and this was really nice to see. And I mean, pretty straightforward. So I think Rafa.
You can try to see if my screen share works, and I try. If not, I'll just leave you a link, and you guys can find. It's not working, right? You're not sharing
No.
your screen. Okay, well, then I'll do I think all of you can check it out. And I mean, what I think the DXDAO and the Omen team did great is that they made it like, kind of like very like pure and adaptable to all kinds of questions. So please go and click on it, and you'll see like that you can sort the markets out of like categories. You can also like filter how many markets you're seeing and whatnot. And once you click on a market, you can see like the different outcomes that you can buy. You can see like which oracle or which dispute mechanism is being used. So yeah, please go ahead, take a look. And regarding that small question there, like you can do binary markets and then all kinds of markets as well. Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks.
No worries. I can open it for you.
So yeah, I mean there, for example, can you please click on that one, Ish, like the first one, that uni one?
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, here you have like some general information. This again is like a price market. There's like two markets on this specific question. So like, for example, you can change the currency you're trading it on. This is like a price. This is regarding liquidity mining on Uni. So for example, this is quite one of those like very nice and exciting cases, because this is like a prediction market on a specific or a possible like governance outcome. So, you know, everybody or every different participant can play it like in a different way. You know, for example, if let's say you're like a VC with a large allocation of like Uni, then, you know, you can have like some additional information that might help you like take the right answer. And at the same time, you like aggregate the information for like most people. Then also, if you are like a Uni holder and you don't want it, then you can also like vote no and whatnot. And then, it gives you some like general information as on like what's the current liquidity, the volume, and as I mentioned, like the oracles and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's just one of the different prediction markets that have been built on top of the conditional token framework. So check it out, and I can send some other things. Yeah, so to that question, Graham, you're asking to Ish. So I'll let you answer that one, Ish, because I think it's
okay.
Yeah.
So there's a question.
Yeah, I saw the questions. Excellent questions, Graham. Thanks a lot for those. Absolutely. I mean, it's not about us offering it, Graham. You can go on the PlotX governance, and you can suggest which market you want and just provide an API. So on trade volumes, I think it's an excellent market to have. What will be the trade volume of Bitcoin probably by a specific date? So you can do that. Just provide us with just provide the API link which you would want to settle it via, or if there is a decentralized oracle available for it, and it's that's it. I mean, the markets would start getting created, and we could work on it. Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So I think, guys, we can wrap up. We perfectly fits in 1 hour. And I would like to thank you a lot for this great conversation. And as usual, I learned a lot. I used to host FriDAI brunches with topics where I'm not at all informed or like expert. So I can learn myself. So please, if you want to suggest a new topic, or you know somebody who would like to speak in the FriDAI branch, please let me know. And I want to thank again the guys that today spoke, who are Ish Goel from PlotX, CEO, and Rafael Suarez from Gnosis, Business Development. You can reach them out on LinkedIn, and you can reach me on wherever, because I'm everywhere. I will let here my Telegram handle. If you guys want to put here some link as well, please go ahead.
Yep.
And that's it.
Okay, well.
You can share the same link, will be the recording of this talk. So if people in 10 minutes click on this link, they will find the recording.
That's perfect. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Maria, and thanks for everybody attending, and great meeting you, Ish. And yeah,
absolute pleasure meeting you as well, Rafa. Thanks a lot, Maria, for this opportunity. Had a lovely time.
And don't forget to thank your mom for the great questions of today. And the photos. Bye, guys.
Have a good day now. Bye now.